Let's start with the easiest way to darken your engravings, which is to stain. So there's a ton of stain brands on the market. These are what I use. The one in the can is from B33, and I also have Varnish that is actually food grade. So these are a great way to see how well your stain or treatment will color your engravings. These color charts are available on our website allstarsdesign.com. So if you want the color charts, you can just go in and grab them. This one I'm going to stain with walnut, dark walnut, and it's really easy to do. I think I have to stir this just a second. So as said, this is water-based, and what I really love about this one is that it dries up super fast and it goes down to the wood really nice. So I'll just use a foam brush, add a little, and instead of just wiping it over, I'll kind of dab on the top of the engraving, so I'll push my stain down. You can see that if I don't push it down, it will not do anything. So it's important to get that stain down the engravings. This. And you can always add a lot and then just wipe it off afterwards. I did have a little bump on this board. So you see how dark it turned out just by doing this, and it's so fast and easy. So I'll just finish off. And the shape of these boards are included with my SVG files. And to make the boards, I rounded the edges. I have a separate tutorial on how to do that. But anyway, when you're staining, I always try to move in the wood direction, and I placed mine angled, so that's why I'm wiping this way. Now this just needs to dry, and this was so easy. So here's the finished board that we stained. Isn't it gorgeous? But from darkening engravings to coloring engravings. This is the first method that I want to share with you. So this is just plywood, and I sealed it with acrylic sprayed paint. This one is pretty glossy, but you could use matte too. The important thing is that you have to get it all dry before moving further, and also you want to feel that everything is covered so you don't have any wood showing. So this is easy and one of my favorite techniques. So I'll actually make this design two-colored. All you need is some paint. I'm using chalk paint on this one. You could use acrylic paint as well. And you need some baby wipes or wet wipes. So what you want to do is color in your engravings, and don't be afraid. If you sealed your wood correctly, you can just wipe everything off. So I'll start with my cheese here and make sure that I get my details stuck inside the engraving. And I know that a lot of people will say, why didn't you mask the wood? Well, I did, and that's the next thing I'll show you. But this is easy. So take a baby wipe once you're done. And when you're engraving, you want to make sure that you're engraving with depth in this, because otherwise you'll just wipe the paint up again. So I now have my cheese that is orange. Let's take the text and make that brown. So to make it dual color, I will just take a bit and wipe it off and repeat. And you could mix the colors and make it rainbow or whatever. You can make really nice effects with this method. Bigger new wipe. Might even be a little too light, this brown color that I found. But that's the cool part, because once this is dry, you can pick another color and paint over. Also, if you get a mistake of some sort, you can easily delete them by just painting over with another color. And if you want it to be absolutely perfect, you should wait until your first color is dry and then move along with the next. Also, you could start by staining your wood and then treating it with clear acrylic spray. You could even use varnish, and you can choose between matte or glossy, like I have here. And that's it. So this is now colored in. If you have some minor mistakes, you can touch up and go over the details if you're not satisfied about. Like that. So this took 6 minutes. So it's pretty easy and straightforward. This is my masked piece. So I usually don't use masking tape, so instead I had to use painter's tape, but that won't work as well. My painter's tape is a bit sticky, so I might be struggling a little to peel this off, which is one of the reasons that I prefer to just use acrylic spray paint instead of masking tape. But I'll show you how you can easily color fill your engravings if you're using masking tape. So I could do the same methods as I did on the sweet cream spot. This one got a little bit messy because it was upside down while I was painting the other side. And the thing that I didn't show you is that you can always paint over everything by just using acrylic paint pens. So I actually filled in the mouth and the snore marks, and I'll just show you real quick. So what you want to do is grab an acrylic paint pen, and if you have some details like these that you want to color in, you once again can just use your baby wipe, and you now have some darker edges. So I really like this method, but back to the new one with masking. So if you want to color fill this, you could either seal it with clear acrylic of some sort, shellac, or clear acrylic spray paint, or varnish, or whatever you have available, but it is to seal the paint from penetrating the wood so it doesn't bleed into your wood. This board, I'll just peel a little off here. I stained before masking, so this is actually dark So I'll make this engraving white. So you could either use the clear coat of some sort and then use a brush and wipe it over with some white acrylic paint, or you could spray paint everything, which is pretty neat and fast to do. So I'll take you outside and show you. My ceiling is all dry now, and I brought a little candle. I'm not going to lit it up, but I want something that holds the actual piece while I spray paint it. So I'll be using white acrylic spray paint and see if I can get it inside the engravings. Right now I'm only mainly the outside. So let's see. Okay, it's running now. Is okay because it will just run into or inside the engraving. I'll just sure I don't get it stuck in the bottom. So I'll let this dry. I'm actually going to flip it over so I can take a little of the excess away. And I'll let this dry and coat again because my white isn't great at covering. So that's probably the issue I'm having with this. Okay, let's wait and see. So after I stopped recording, I ran in and took a piece of paper towel just to kind of take out the excess paint, and I actually think it will turn okay. My white isn't covering as nice as I would like it to, so I will take this with me inside and then I'll use regular acrylic paint to show you how to color fill it. I'm back inside and let's see if we can make this work. Anyway, as said, I never mask my wood, so I'm not used to color filling like this. So this is a trial and error for me as well. But let's see if we are able to save this. Otherwise you could learn from my mistakes. So I took some white chalk paint for this. You could use acrylic paint if you prefer. I just don't really use acrylic paint since I love my chalk. To be totally honest and say that this is my least favorite method. I really prefer to just sand and color fill, like I'll show you in the rest of this tutorial. But I know that a lot of people are color filling like this. So if you want to learn and master it, go ahead and watch some of their tutorials, because I don't think this will ever be successful for me. Maybe if I did have a more solid engraving and it didn't have all these details. I don't know. Let's see how this turns out. So I'll still be removing the excess. So I'll grab a kitchen towel and just kind of tap it. And it did take off a little bit of my tape, so I'll just leave it like this so I don't mess it up. Maybe I could even try to peel off some of this now. I was thinking about just letting it dry. I think I'll let it dry because it is a little smudgy over here. So I'll let it dry and then I'll reveal the peeler. So it's dry now, and let's see if we can get the rest of the tape off. I will be honest and say that I really don't like this method, but I know that some people love it, and if it works for you, then awesome for you. I do prefer the other methods that I'm showing, but I want you to see that this is a possibility as well. So since I used masking tape, it will come off in these stripes. And what I really don't like about using tape or masking is that you have to peel off all these tiny bits. And it's so easy to just stain or treat with something else and then color fill in like I'm showing in the rest of this video. Also, I'm losing a lot of my details because I used the masking tape, and I did increase my speed, my power to engrave this deeper, but it didn't really engrave deep enough on some spots. So I can see already now that I'll not be satisfied about this color filling. So instead of wasting my time and your time, I'll stop here and I'll move this over. I will make a video on how to fix this if you want. If you want a video on how to do that, just drop a comment and I'll happily peel off the rest of this tape and show you in a new tutorial. But I'm not satisfied about this color filling at all. See, it's running and I don't like this. So I'll flip this over because I already engraved this on the back. I'll just place it on a piece of paper in case the paint will fall out. The other methods I want to show you is how to use varnish directly for color filling. So I love using this varnish because it will do the same as my stain, which is Darken Engravings, but it will also smooth and I'll be able to color fill like I did with the acrylic. Sorry, this. There. So this is walnut dark, and again I'm using a foam brush. You could use a regular paint brush if you want, but I'll just dab it inside the engraving like this. Like my stain, you can already see how this is darkening the engraving as is, which is why I honestly prefer just the stain after engraving. But if you want to color fill, that's not enough. So I'll have this dry up, and once I'm done and it's all dry, I can then go ahead and color fill it. So once your varnish is dry, mine is now, you can already feel that it is smooth and has sealed up the wood. To make it even smoother, I like to just wipe this is a very fine grit sponge. I don't know what to call these. but this is now smooth as a baby behind. So I'll just take a brush, a dry painter's brush, to wipe off the dust. And then I can show you the color filling. So for this one, I'll be using chalk paint, black chalk paint, and the color filling is very identical to the first one that I showed you. So I'll just wipe over the entire engraving. And since this will be all black anyway, I don't really worry about messing. So there is one thing that could happen now, and it is that since I only gave this piece one coat of varnish, it might bleed just a little bit. If you want to prevent that, I would suggest that you give it 2 coats. But I think I have down all my cracks. So let's grab a baby wipe. And carefully wipe it over before the paint dries. More. And I actually didn't have any bleeding into the wood grains, which is great. So I guess that one layer of or one coat of varnish was enough. I'll just grab a last wipe and just remove any excess paint. So this entire color filling took 3 minutes, so you might see why I prefer this instead of the other way with the masking tape and color filling, because it did bleed a bunch all over and I lost so much detail. Also, it took a lot longer because you have to mask everything, then you need to seal it with a clear coat. You need to spray paint or fill it with acrylic paint, and then you have to peel off all that masking tape. So I really don't prefer this method, but some people do, some people don't. This way is what I like better. The last trick that I have up in my sleeve is how to make this effect, and also how to color in the engravings after we're done. So this is untreated but sanded plywood. I didn't apply anything to it. What I want to do is find a dark base color. So this one was actually black. This one was dark beeswax. And once again, because it's easy to apply, I'm using beeswax. This one is a noche oscuro, which means dark walnut, and this is a firm, I think you call it, beeswax. I also have these liquid ones. You could see the difference. So this is liquid, but I already used this for this board, so I think I'll try the lighter color on the next. So to apply this, you could use a brush, you could use a cloth, you could use anything. I'll just use my fingers, see if that's easier. So I'll take a piece here and just kind of wipe it in. It's actually a little light, but this will also darken the engravings if you get it stuck down to the engraving. I will be making effects on this one, so it's not really necessary for me to get too much effort into the engraving. But I actually think I will, although this color is beautiful, I will take my dark beeswax instead, because I want the back to be dark. So let me just change cans and take this one. And this one I usually apply with a foam brush. So I'll just grab one here. And these waxes, unfortunately, they are bought in Sicily and they are an Italian brand. I have been trying to see if I could find them somewhere for the people in the US and such, but I haven't been able to find them, sorry. But hopefully you could find something similar. Otherwise you can just stain with a dark color stain. And the reason that I'm using beeswax and not stain for these is that I can just wipe it off now and it will already be stuck inside the board. So that's it. So let's show you how to color fill, and this will look like I'm making a huge mess, but I'm not. So I think I will use black acrylic paint for this one. So I'll just grab a piece of paper and a new foam brush and apply a little bit here. And I'll just dab it inside the engravings. If I was satisfied with how the engravings looked before, I didn't have to do this step. I could just add the kind of washed effect that I had in the other boards. But I do want this to be black. And don't worry about the mess, because it will be disguised in a bit. And also I could use my acrylic paint pens and color in everything if that's what I wanted. But I really want to just make an outline of the engraving so I can color it in afterwards. So once you think you have painted down the entire engraving, I think I do now, can you again just take this is my wet wipes, but you could use some paper towel as well. And I don't want the color to be too different, so I'm wiping some black on the handle as well. Just take a new one. And I do want as much as my black to come up as possible. So you could see that taking a new white helps me with that. It's now black, and I could leave it like this if I wanted to, but I don't want to. I want to make this type of effect. So I'll show you that. So what you want to do is take a light paint of some sort. I'm using chalk paint. This one is from Blur. I actually think I might want to use this rose powder color instead of the white. So for this I'll be using a foam roller. You can buy these little foam rolls. They are pretty tight. I'll snap it to the handle. Unfortunately I could only get a long handle. I would have preferred a smaller one, but that's okay. So see if I can reuse this piece of paper. Just fold it again. And the reason I'm using paper is because my roll obviously doesn't fit inside this tiny jar. So I'll just add some to my paper and I'll put pressure to it so the paint gets stuck inside the roll like that. And then I'll just very carefully roll it over. And I'm not putting any pressure at it at all. And I probably should have allowed the black to dry just a tiny bit before doing this. I think I'll just wipe this over, let it dry just a little, and then I'll move on and show you. I just used a heat gun, so I hope that it was dry now. So I'll just add a little more paint, because I did get some of the black paint stuck inside this. So again, very carefully roll over. And I'll use the tip to just add a little paint. And on the edges, I actually want to push down just a little bit. But be careful that you don't push too hard with the roller on top of the engraving, because that will cause it to get into the engraving and your black will not be visible. Just take the handlebar as well, and then I'll flip it over. And again, I'm not putting pressure to this, I'm just sliding it or running it over carefully. So I think I'm pretty satisfied about this. So it will look a little like a screen print, kind of. If you think you got too much on, you could use a little sandpaper afterwards and just rub it over. I'll not do that just yet because my chalk paint needs to be completely dry before I move on. But I'll show you on this other piece that's actually on the back of this one how I color in these details. So once you have, and this is the stain board, so this was just stained. So what I want to do is pick a yellow color of some sort. I think this one looks great. And then you just carefully wipe it over what wasn't engraved. If you have too many details, you could add some paint between those details and then use your finger to smudge it out. So you want to get color in, but you don't want to get color stuck down the engravings. So instead of coloring over the engravings, you just place a little bit of color between them and then smudge it. There is plenty of details on this one that I don't want to get ruined. So this is a little time consuming. You can, if you are very carefully, the deeper engravings you could wipe over like that. But those small details I would be careful around. So and that's the It's All Gouda board. So for this one I used white. For this one I used white and a lighter yellow. And for the back of the sun I actually used 3 colors of yellow, and then I took a orange one and just kind of dabbed it in the corner and smudged them. So it does give a little more detail to your engraving. But let's get back to this one. It is dry now. This one I want to color in as well. So for the wine I'll be using a red paint pen. I'll just grab this over here, might be easier. So let's see if I can find a wine red. I don't think I have the color that I'm looking for. I'll just use this red. So again, I'll add some red inside the glass, and I'll use my finger to smudge it out. For the glass, I'll probably go with white. Just a tiny bit of white, so it will seem like it's transparent. Add a little on top of the red here, because this is a highlight. Also this should be highlighted. I'm pretty satisfied about that. Let's move down to the stem. And for the eyes, so tiny. I'll just lift and carefully place a dot. So that's the glass. For the cheese, I'll be using my yellow again. And since this cheese is kind of square, I'll paint in squares, because then if I don't get everything inside the engraving, it will kind of blend into the shape of the cheese. And I want a pink song for him or her. Looks a little bit like SpongeBob now. For the grapes, I'll be using purple. And I'm just kind of dabbing it. And then there's just these tiny leaves. So that's it, guys. And both this painting and on this one and the other only took around 10 minutes. So it's not really difficult, and it does leave, sorry, yeah, this one was a mistaken test that I did yesterday, but it does leave a way better result, in my opinion, than it would if it was just plain. So if you want to see more of my tutorials, please subscribe to my channel, and also give this post a like or a comment with anything else that you'd like to see from me. I love to teach, and I love to show you how to do different things, and also I love to experiment on my own. I am a laser files designer, and I sell my files on Etsy and our own website, All Stars Design. So if you're interested in some of my files, I have about 700, just take a look. Also, if you want more help or assistance, I run my own Facebook helping group called Later Up with MiMo Design. So feel free to check that out, and hopefully I'll see you soon again.